Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
So check it out. The D6 Squad has merch now. We got hoodies, tees, mugs, whatever you need. Check it out. Link in the description. What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So we can all agree that Saquon Barkley is going to need a backup running back this year. And it's probably going to start with Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman is probably the favorite to come back. He knows the system. He has proof that he can succeed in a system like this. I mean, it's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk kind of thing. I've seen a lot of things about Ingram. I have some other people that I want to go over. But I'm going to give 5 running backs that I think we should target. And I think that all 5 of these running backs are going to be able to complement Saquon Barkley very well. I think what we're missing is that power back, is that straight line kind of back. We could also go, the speed back, the elusive kind of back too, that would kind of provide a little bit of a change of a pace. But Saquon is kind of a scat back kind of player. So we probably need someone who's going to be able to attack the hole, get upfield as quick as possible. And, there we go, move the chains. Get those 3-4 yard runs, get those short yardage runs, and be that change of pace guy that can wear that defense down, give Saquon a breather, and still be effective. And I think that's something that we kind of are forgetting. We need to be able to provide Saquon with a backup that is most of all effective. We need someone, first of all, that's effective. Even if we have someone with the exact same skill set as Saquon, if they're effective and we can put Saquon on the bench and put this new guy in and they can be effective, I'm signing up for that 100% of the time. Because who wants a 250-pound running back or 230-something pound running back that isn't good? Without any further ado, let's get into this top 5. The first one at number 5 is going to be Mark Ingram. Now, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my computer. Mark Ingram is 5'9", 215 pounds. That's what they have him listed at. I think he might be a little bit bigger than that these days, but 299 yards last year on 72 carries, I think. 4.2 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. Now, he didn't get many carries last year. J.K. Dobbins came in. Gus Edwards came in. And he kind of didn't have that same role. Last year, he had 1,000 yards. The year, 2019, he had 1,000 yards. So he was still productive. I think he can still be productive in spots. If you bring him in as a backup running back, he's going to be solid. He's going to hold on to the football. He's going to get upfield. He's going to bring that presence. He's also going to be a leader for the team. And you're getting a good dude in the locker room. So Mark Ingram, drafted by the Saints. We had a chance at him, I think, or we might have gone 1 pick before us when we ended up taking David Wilson. But Mark Ingram, his dad used to be a Giant. He's someone that has the lineage here, and he might want to come and play for the same team that his dad came and played for. And I think he'd be a good mentor overall for every running back, all the young guys on the team. But even for Saquon, he could mentor him, just show him, what it is to be a long-standing, productive running back in the NFL. So number 4, we got Rhamondre Stevenson, 6 feet, 232 pounds. In college, he was around 245, which is huge. He was a big guy. He was a big back, and he was the perfect back for us. But he ended up losing about 15 to 20 pounds. So hopefully that'll translate to more explosion. But I actually like what I saw from him explosion-wise. He's a vintage power back. He's 232, but he's probably going to start putting back on weight because the last time I looked, he was around 220-something. So he's probably going to keep putting that weight back on. That might be a concern. Maybe you don't want him to put on too much weight. But he's going to run north-south. He's going to be hard to take down. He's going to be a guy who's going to be tough to bring down in short yardage situation. And he's a rookie. He's low cost. Mark Ingram is probably going to cost you, $2-3 million a year, somewhere around that. Rhamondre Stevenson in that 4th or 5th round probably won't cost you much. He might even, be able to get this guy in the 6th round. So low cost, low risk, and you get this guy for the next 4 years instead of the next, year. So Rhamondre Stevenson is definitely someone I'd be looking for. Looking up his college stats, 665 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6.6 yards per carry, and he only has had 165 carries. So throughout college, he only had 165 carries. That means in the NFL, he's going to be incredibly fresh. Not that much tread on his tires. So that shows you he basically has the equivalent of about one college football season as far as carries, or maybe a little bit less than a season. So imagine a guy coming off, sort of a guy who's sort of proven, and he's coming off of, about 75% of a season worth of carries. So I think Rhamondre Stevenson would be a intriguing option to look at in the draft. I think the draft is the best place to get a running back. But let's move on. So next up, we got Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon really put the team on his back and took over for a couple of games and some big playoff games for Ohio State. And pretty much him going down might have been the biggest reason why Ohio State ended up losing to Alabama in the way that they lost. But Trey Sermon really runs aggressively. Now, he's about he's 6'1", 221. So he's about 10 to 15 pounds lighter than Saquon, which means he's not bigger than Saquon. He's not more physically imposing. But one thing that I will say about Trey Sermon is that he's going to run like a power back, and he's going to be tough to bring down. He's going to be a guy who is a hard-nosed north-south runner, and he makes no funny business about him running the football. So I have no problem with the Giants taking him. I think he's a guy who could even be a number one running back in this league. And having him in the fourth round, if he falls there, I think will be a slam dunk pick. We would have a guy who could spell Saquon and maybe could even be the running back of the future if the Giants for some reason decide to move on from Saquon, because he's a guy who looks like he could really be a number one. The thing is, he doesn't have the biggest sample size of being that elite kind of running back. He's had a 1,000-yard season. He's had a 900-yard season. But he wasn't looked at as a high-tier kind of prospect until he had those crazy good games for Ohio State in the biggest stage. So at the very least, he is a guy who can be a rotational guy. He is a guy who can bring that change of pace. He reminds me a lot of Wayne Gallman. I mean, a sort of straight-up kind of runner, a powerful runner, more powerful than his frame. Wayne Gallman isn't Saquon Barkley's size, but he runs a lot different. He runs more straightforward. He's very powerful. And I think Trey Sermon probably has more side-to-side quickness than Wayne Gallman. Trey Sermon had 870 yards. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry. But also he had a 331-yard game, so that's almost half of his. I guess that's about 38 something, close to half of his production came in one game. So as I said, it's a small kind of sample size of him being that elite runner. But if he can translate that over, that's a real steal in the fourth round. So number 2, Wayne Gallman. We all know about the Wayne train. We all know how great Gallman fit into this scheme. I think that Wayne Gallman is the perfect spell for Saquon, because literally everything that Saquon can do, Wayne Gallman can do to a lesser extent. Wayne Gallman can catch the ball. Wayne Gallman can run the ball. His style is a little bit more different. It's a little bit tougher, but he can make a couple people miss in the open field. And he's a guy that won't hurt you. He can pass block. He can catch. He can run. He probably pass blocks a lot better than Saquon, to be honest with you. But he can do everything that you need from a running back. And you don't really have to change the offense for Wayne Gallman when he comes in the game. For Alfred Morris, you weren't throwing that dude the ball. He's not someone that's going to catch the ball. But with him, and I guess all of these other guys, they can catch the ball. So you don't really have to change things up when they come into the game. Wayne Gallman is a guy that's only 210 pounds. They have him listed at, so I'm guessing he's probably around 215, 216. I don't think he's 220, but powerful runner. Again, change of pace. And, he had 682 yards. He very well could have been our number one runner if we had everything else, built around us. He could have been our number one back, a real number one coming in. So it's all about what the money is for Wayne Gallman, what other teams are offering him. And if we can get him back on a really good, team-friendly kind of deal, I'm definitely down for bringing back Wayne Gallman. And then my number one guy, Malcolm Brown. And the reason that Malcolm Brown is my number one guy, he's 5'11", 225, vintage power back. Vintage, powerful bowling ball kind of back, that Maurice Jones-Drew kind of mold. I'm trying to think of some more guys. But that Maurice Jones-Drew kind of role where guys are trying to tackle him and they're bouncing off. Like Mike Tolbert, even though he's a lot smaller, but the dude is powerful. He's tough. He really establishes the run as far as, punching people in the mouth. You can just think of that Cowboys game. I think was that a year or two ago where he established the run. He's also on the older side. He's going to be dirt cheap. 4.1 yards a carry, 419 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think that's exactly what we need. He's the bare minimum. He's going to be dirt cheap. And I think we might be able to get him for a pretty good deal. And then my honorable mention is Curtis Samuel. Now, Curtis Samuel is obviously a wide receiver. He's someone that we're rumored to be targeting. I just saw another thing that said Washington is rumored to be targeting Curtis Samuel. And I think Curtis Samuel could be another kind of change of pace running back, an ultra receiver running back as the spell option for Saquon Barkley. I think if we get him, if we draft him, not draft him, but if we sign him, he will play a sizable amount of snaps at running back, whether that be running route side of the backfield or, running the ball. So he's going to provide new dimensions, and him and Saquon can both catch. Saquon can run routes. So that'll be another dynamic thing. Maybe both of them in the backfield at the same time. You can do a lot of trickery. There's a lot of speed, a lot of agility back there. If you have DJ, Saquon, and Curtis Samuel. So that's my honorable mention. Obviously, he's not an every down back, and he's certainly not a power back, but that's something to think about. So those are my top 5 running backs. There's a lot of different directions we can go into. We can go to speed route. We can go to power route. I think the Giants will end up going the low-cost power route, and I think that is best served through going through the draft. That's just my opinion. But you guys let me know what you think. What are some, draft picks you guys are looking at as far as running backs, or the free agents that you're looking at? And what are you thinking about Saquon this year? So if you made it this deep into the video, I'm calling you a D6 squad member. If you're a D6 squad member, you got to hit that subscribe button. You got to turn on that notification bell. And listen, I make all kinds of content for NFL teams. So if you're not a Giants fan, don't worry. I'll cover your team. If I'm not covering your team, let me know, and have a good one.